Hey everyone, John here! And back in 2002, Nintendo, Namco, and Sega got together to create an arcade version of the GameCube. This was the Triforce arcade board, a very cost-efficient arcade machine basically made out of a GameCube, with slightly beefier specs. And this allowed GameCube games to enter the arcades, or at least that was part of the premise. Stuff like F-Zero GX made it to arcades with F-Zero AX, and Star Fox Assault was planned to enter arcades, but that version was inevitably cancelled. But still, some original arcade machines were born out of this too, including Mario Kart GP 1 and 2, so overall, this was a success. Now, you may be wondering, if this thing is so close to GameCube hardware, could a GameCube run these games? And thus far, it doesn't seem so. However, the Wii is also just a beefed up GameCube in many ways, and using the homebrew software Nintendo, you can run GameCube games with Wii-level specs, so you can take advantage of the Wii hardware, and places in games that would drop frames on the GameCube hardware most likely won't on the Wii using Nintendo. And so it turns out Nintendo is capable of playing these arcade games from home, and a few of them have been adapted to be played with a full-on controller and are completely compatible on the Wii. So your Wii's not only a GameCube, a native Wii, but it's also an arcade machine, a Triforce arcade machine. So let's check these games out.
This video is sponsored by HelloFresh. I had a problem, fellas, where I'd go to the shop every week and end up wasting a bunch of ingredients. Well, no more with HelloFresh. They send you the exact quantity you need for every meal, so no more wasted food or certain ingredients expiring before others. It is as simple as can be. With over 45 recipes, meal planning is as simple as ever, while still offering a ton of variety. And if you're busy playing Nintendo arcade games and have very little time to cook, HelloFresh's line of quick and easy meals can take as little as 20 minutes to prepare. No more stressing, lots more pressing buttons. As a father of two and a husband of one, having everything laid out for us to prepare and enjoy together alleviates so much stress and creates valuable family bonding moments. Click the link in the description or use my code GVGMAY10 and get 10 free meals plus free dessert for life while subscription is active. Thanks again to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. This works on both a homebrewed Wii and a homebrewed Wii mode on a Wii U. All you need is access to the homebrew channel and an up-to-date Nintendo app. There's a download link in the description, just put it in the apps folder and it should appear. By default, this can load Triforce arcade games and even maps the buttons on a GameCube controller to the arcade buttons. There's nothing else for you to do. So take your arcade machine that we all have lying around and rip the ROM out of it, okay? We're all doing this by the book. Let's start with the biggest one, the 2005 original Mario Kart game, Mario Kart Arcade GP, made by Namco. This is a completely original Mario Kart game. Its own original tracks, its own original characters, a vast amount of original items. So in this game, you can play as Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, Wario, Bowser, Toad, Yoshi, and Donkey Kong, very normal, Pac-Man! And that one. And Blinky! Yeah, because Namco made this, they could squeeze Pac-Man into a Mario Kart game, and there's even a Pac-Man course. In the arcade, you can get a physical car to save your data, so when you scan this, it'll recognize your profile, what cups you've done, what items you've unlocked, and yes, there are so many items, and very few of them are traditional Mario Kart items. Some of them have similar functions, like this one's kinda a green shell, even if it's not a green shell, and this one's kind of a banana peel, but it's definitely not a banana peel. What are these things? Oh no, it's the woke mind virus. Get away, everybody! There's around 100 items total, but it's not like the roulette is just spinning through all of them. Only a couple are selected for each race, so it's fairly manageable, but it's still just like what does this item do? Now, the general game feels great. You can take your picture before starting the game, although that doesn't work in the Wii or Wii U versions. However, it does work in the Wii U game Tank. So if you want to understand how that works, here you go. And that would appear on yourself and opposing human races. There's 6 different cups, but that pretty much amounts to 6 different tracks. You see, there's 4 sets in each cup, but they pretty much just remix the same track. sometimes changing the time of day, sometimes making it a bit longer, sometimes adjusting a few turns, but for the most part these are the same tracks every time. With that said, they look really cool, and some of the themes here are outstanding. Like the Donkey Kong Cup is one of the best Donkey Kong themed Mario Kart tracks ever. You've got low poly Diddy Kong, you've got these animal buddies, you're going through the jungle and then through these ruins. It just feels so cool and straight out of DKC in a way that I don't think any other Mario Kart track quite comes close to. And then the Wario Cup takes place in Diamond City. Yeah, from WarioWare. There aren't that many WarioWare references, but you can see the taxi over here. That's kinda neat. There's not a bad track in this game, they're all just really cool. And while it definitely is repetitive to play the exact same track 4 different times with slight differences, it does culminate in a cool mission. It can be something like pushing a watermelon to the end of the course, kinda like Mario's Sunshine, avoiding the ghosts with their electrical fields, or killing Bowser. That is not the scream I expected. This predated Mario Kart DS with this mission mode, and it's very cool seeing what mainline Mario Kart games took from the arcade game, and it's quite a bit to be honest. Stuff like an item that covers your screen, the Mega Mushroom, a lightning cloud, these things all debuted in Mario Kart Arcade. I'm very fond of this game, I think it handles really well, and there's even analog acceleration as the pedals themselves are mapped to the R and L buttons on the GameCube controller, so you can go slowly or full speed. The only other Mario Kart game that allows that is 8 and 8 Deluxe with the right analog stick. Did you know that could accelerate? I don't think most people do. It can. You also drift a bit differently in this game, where you basically press it twice to start a drift, otherwise it's a break. Takes a bit to master, but it can feel really good. So Mario Kart Arcade GP is a great arcade adaptation of Mario Kart. Namco should make actual Mario Kart games. Oh wait, they do! So what did they do next? Well, they released Mario Kart Arcade GP 2. Wait, this looks like the same game. So Arcade GP 2 pretty much is more of the same. The same 6 cups return, even with the exact same missions. The entire playable roster returns. There's just a few new things added in, like Waluigi's now here. That's cool. And Mamachi from Tamagotchi. Yeah, Mamachi! They're driving a kart with Pac-Man and Mario. You'll also find 2 new cups. There's a Yoshi one and a Waluigi one. Although weirdly, the Yoshi one is also a Luigi's Mansion one? I don't understand. And of course, there's new items, like Flood. Flood is out for blood. Like, look at this. They're going crazy. They're just murdering everybody. What's also strange about Arcade GP 2 is there's now an announcer, and he's pretty horny.
Waluigi is banging away. Donkey Kong is banging away. Mario is banging away.
Announcer man, please. This guy announces everything. If you miss an item, he will name and shame you in front of everybody.
Frame. Peach, this frame blocks your view. Mamachi, shot an item. Failed attack. Awesome. Donkey Kong.
The AI is also a bit different in this game too. In Arcade GP 1, they were pretty easy, but in Arcade GP 2, they're a bit weird. Like, they overtake you almost every single time to begin with, and then they kind of slow down on the final lap. So it's just this sort of artificial sense of difficulty. Although they are just generally a bit more difficult than Arcade GP 1. But yeah, for the most part, Arcade GP 1 and Arcade GP 2 are just the same game, but expanded. That said, it's still an absolute banger. And I want to praise the Pac-Man course just a little bit more, by the way. Like, look how much stuff is crammed in here. This is a love letter to so much of Pac-Man's history. Whether it's the original Pac-Man, Pac-Land, Pac-Man World. Like, there's just so much crammed in here. I'm not sure we'll see this from modern Namco. These two are very cool games. Now for our next game, we have Virtua Striker 4, the only game in the series to never leave arcades. Virtua Striker 2 came to the Dreamcast, 3 came to the GameCube, and the very first game eventually came to 360 and PlayStation 3 way later on, in 2013. But 4 remains stuck in arcades, and on the Wii and Wii U. I have some pretty fond memories playing Virtua Striker 3 around a friend's house, and while this may not exactly be my genre, I still think it's so cool that we can play this at home. Nothing is stopping us, not even the man. Yeah, that one. Now, the last game we're going to talk about is F-Zero, a X. If you've played and mastered GX, you may be under the impression that you've experienced AX, for the AX tracks are actually unlockable in the main game. And funnily enough, the AX ISO is on the GX disc, and you can just hack GX and get the AX menus, including the title screen and the track selection, and a few other bits. But with that said, while the AX tracks are in GX, and while the AX menus are in GX, AX is not GX. The physics are completely different. Anyone who's given GX any amount of time will recognize in an instant that it doesn't feel the exact same. Still feels good, but it's not the same. You'll also notice there's now a quick start, which GX lacks. It doesn't matter when you press accelerate at the start of a race in GX, you'll just launch off at a normal speed. But just like F-Zero and Maximum Velocity and X and 99 and pretty much every game in the series that isn't GX, if you hold the acceleration button just before one appears, you will get a slight boost. Look at the difference here. GX doesn't do that. There's also a bunch of exploits and techniques that only work in AX and not GX. The meta for this game can be pretty extreme. So while the differences only really apply for big fans of F-Zero, if you've never touched AX before, you really should. The GX versions of AX are not true to life. This is the true arcade version. Although it's lacking the actual feedback of the machine, of course, that is still the best way to play, but this is a worthwhile substitute.
This is just so damn cool, and it's a delight to finally play these games in the comfort of my own home. When I go to arcades, I'm usually playing with someone else. I don't really go on my own. So it's nice just to play through the entirety of Mario Kart GP, which is something I've never done before. And I've never got to even experience an F-Zero AX machine. I saw one at an airport once when I was with my family, but they're like, come on, we've got to make our flight. I really wanted to play that. I wanted to miss that flight and play F-Zero AX. But finally, I have played the actual game. Now, I'm sure that doesn't quite match to the visceral feeling of the arcade machine itself, but at least the actual content of the game is preserved and playable for all time. Anyway, let me know, have you used Nintendo to play these arcade games? And if you haven't, are you going to now? And also let me know just your general thoughts and memories on these arcade games, from whether it's on the Wii or just via arcades in general. Now, because we've gotten until the end of this video, it is Hot Take time. My hot take today is more modern games should get arcade releases. And I hear you. Why? Arcades are pretty much dead. What's the point in that? Well, arcades are still a very social thing. When you go to big cities, you'll often find barcades where people play lots of retro games. And I think arcades are just a very risk-free way of spreading your IP around. Like if you were to find an arcade machine of Mario Kart 8, you wouldn't play that thing and go, well, no need for the Switch anymore, because it's a very situational thing. You're not always going to be at the arcade. You're there when you're with your friends. It's just natural exposure to these franchises. And so you may play it there and think, oh, I want to keep playing this. I'm going to get the Switch and Mario Kart 8 proper. And I think that's just like, there's no downside to releasing arcade versions. It's the best way of going like multi-platform, just to make an arcade version. Now, obviously, I do understand that the logistics of that may not make sense in the modern day. Arcades aren't as prevalent as they were, and the ones that do exist are just to host the past. There's no real arcade machines anymore. But I'm sure you could squeeze them in an airport, at a cinema, at a bowling alley. Like that's how arcade machines generally still find their way into the modern realm. But I don't see a problem with it myself. I think anything could be an arcade machine. Smash could be an arcade machine. Halo could be an arcade machine. I think it'd be awesome to have like an 8-player LAN circle machine just to play Halo. It's not going to stop you from buying an Xbox. It's just like you're not going to live there. So like it's an advertisement of anything. I don't know if this one made that much sense, but I stick by it. Anyway, thank you for watching until the very end. Big loves to you all, and I will catch you next time. Bye, everyone.